this interesting fireside chat, a virtual fireside chat on the topic, Working Together for Growth, the Indomitable Power of Community. We live in a time which is replete with I versus an you attitude. We keep on hearing about my community versus your community versus their community. And we are divided, and there is a lot of hatred and heartburn based on the divisions. We are divided based on the religions we practice, the languages we speak, caste, creed, skin color, political views, and whatnot. The science of evolution, however, tells us that human beings are genetically engineered to come together, support each other, collaborate, thrive, sustain, and grow in a complex environment. We are all going through a pandemic, tough time, really. But more than ever, it is time for us to realize the need for supporting each other and for a larger collaboration. And that is precisely why we have chosen this topic for our discussion today, Working Together for Growth, the Indomitable Power of Community. With me today, I have a very esteemed guest, and it is my pleasure to welcome him on the show, in the session. May I please have him on screen? Yes, on the screen you are able to see Mr. Manoj Patra. He is a senior engineering manager with Google. He is based out of California, United States, and that is where he is joining us from. In his previous role, he was a principal architect with Microsoft. Passionate about technology and a technology champion himself, Mr. Patra has a lot of patents to his credit and name in the field of virtual machines and cloud computing. Welcome, Mr. Patra, in today's session.
And even animals do stay in groups, right? And then they mark their territorial boundaries and say, this group works together, stays together, hunts together, eats together, and they essentially grow together. The person is, let's say an actor, is acting, is feeling as wounded and sitting on a street, which is generally an open street and people can just go by. When people pass by there, the level of sympathy shown by a person towards the wounded person, a stranger on the street, is higher if the person is able to relate to that wounded actor as part of his community or his tribe. The division on the basis of certain basis is seen to be extremely, can easily lead to conflict and clashes among people. You've seen that. As you said, religious views, political views, they tend to be a little more sensitive than others. So, while it is natural to have a sympathy towards a person who we identify as our community, a human being can belong to multiple communities that way at the same time, right? And on different forum or different fora, we identify ourselves with different communities. So,
sure. And does scarcity or limited resources have a role to play in terms of people coming against each other?
That is very important point. So, what is observed generally is that people tend to share things when the sense of abundance is there in the back of their mind. When there are no resources that people are competing against, they're able to easily share, whether within the same community, definitely yes. Even like people outside the community, there yes. But if you consider like a society as a larger community, right? There are communities of communities, it's hierarchical in many ways. So, as even society, it is seen that there is a cultural impression on people's psyche. Different people in different societies tend to react differently and suddenly confronting a natural disaster or a calamity. I would like to quote, give this example in Japan, it is generally seen people are little considerate of others, more considerate of others. When they feel resources are less, they try to consume less. As opposed to some other societies, even if it's developed, maybe in the US here, many people have this hoarding mentality. When the resources are less, they try to stock more so as to tide over that period of low availability. So those who are little wise or mature in their thought, they realize that in general, things that we need for our survival is plenty available in the world. We don't have to lead ourselves into a state of scare or fear considering this artificial scarcity.
Next question, Mr. Patra. So if you look at the very purpose of life, at its basic, it is one, existence, and two, growth. So how do you think community and the togetherness it stands for supports these two aspects of our life, existence and growth? Your thoughts, please.
Okay. So, as you mentioned, like we all need, if you want to pursue any subject in our life, right, we need a teacher or a master. And many people realize it subconsciously. We go and enroll in different school. I want to learn some music. Okay, look for the best music school around. I want to learn guitar. Look for the best guitarist there that's enlisted in the school. Enroll in the class and do it. Whether it's driving, whether it's pursuing a hobby, we do that. When it comes to the skills of life, there are many realized souls. But from time to time, I believe very strongly that prophets who are complete realized souls in the form of a human being they incarnate. And it is little ironical that followers of such prophets, who himself, any prophet, would have been replete with love. They exude their love unconditionally, selflessly to every human being, every living being. Followers of such prophets, down the line, they confine themselves to a few principles so rigidly and strongly that they start looking at differences from others. Right? So prophets of the age, I say, are visionary. This is just a small example. They guide very strongly individually and collectively. Collectively is essentially what is community. So the members of the satsang community, who are essentially lovers of existence and growth, they were not only able to survive and ward it over, they were able to help so many others. And they did it very selflessly, even people who were not attached to their community then. Why? Because the prophet of the age is able to guide people to overcome their complexes and narrow-mindedness. They are able to use it Sarva Bhute Atma Guna. So they are able to see themselves in others. They're able to put themselves. If somebody has come with a bowl and they see that mother with that look of seeking help in her eyes, they say, no, if we are suffering here and we need food, they obviously are hungry, they need food too. A satsangi by nature is happy to share half the food that is on his plate to other who is equally hungry. We will do to get more and more people, and that is what they love unconditionally with them. So the same was with Jesus Christ. And one more big aspect that we always see, they have infinite power to forgive people. We say communities, but in the community, whatever binds the community, sometimes people take so strong viewership of these binding principles. If they feel one has violated the hardcore followers of that community, they don't, at the blink of the eye, they may say, we want to ostracize this person and expel them from the community. Somebody has violated the principle, let's expel from the community. But the prophets are so full of love and so forgiving, they are able to pick up those who are to be expelled, who are to be thrown out, who are downtrodden, and say, let's give them a new lease of life.